FBTC versus IBIT sounds like a battle between Fidelity and BlackRock. And on YouTube, that is a good headline. But for investors, the real story is more practical. Both funds are designed to give you exposure to Bitcoin. Both can be bought inside a traditional brokerage account. Both make Bitcoin easier to access. And both still carry the same core risk, Bitcoin itself. So the question is not just which ETF is better. The better question is, which Bitcoin ETF fits your portfolio, your risk tolerance, your platform, and your holding plan? Because choosing between FBTC and IBIT matters, but choosing how much Bitcoin exposure to own may matter even more. In this video, we are going to compare fees, sponsor, custody, liquidity, long-term use, risks, and portfolio fit. The ETF matters, but the Bitcoin allocation matters more. FBTC is the Fidelity Wise Origin Bitcoin Fund. IBIT is the iShares Bitcoin Trust ETF. In simple terms, both are Bitcoin funds that trade through traditional brokerage accounts. That means an investor can get Bitcoin exposure without opening a crypto exchange account, without managing a personal wallet, and without holding private keys. For beginners, this is a key difference. When you buy FBTC or IBIT, you are not personally transferring Bitcoin to your own wallet. You are buying shares of a fund that is designed to hold Bitcoin and reflect Bitcoin exposure. That makes access easier. It can make tax reporting and brokerage account management feel more familiar, and it can fit more easily into a traditional portfolio. But there is a very important warning. These ETFs make Bitcoin easier to buy. They do not make Bitcoin safer to own. To see why, we need to look at what FBTC and IBIT have in common. FBTC and IBIT have a lot in common. Both are designed to provide exposure to Bitcoin. Both are spot Bitcoin products. Both trade through normal brokerage accounts. Both remove the need for the average investor to handle Bitcoin directly. And both have a stated fee of 0.25%. That means the fee difference is not the main story here. If Bitcoin rises strongly, both funds are generally trying to reflect that exposure. If Bitcoin falls sharply, both funds can fall sharply too. So investors should not think of this as choosing between two different asset classes. This is not like comparing a bond ETF with a growth stock ETF. It is more like comparing two different wrappers around the same core asset. FBTC and IBIT are different wrappers around the same core risk, Bitcoin. And when the asset is similar, the wrapper details start to matter. The first major difference is the sponsor and operating structure. IBIT is from iShares, part of BlackRock. That gives it a very strong institutional brand, large market visibility, and major attention from investors. FBTC is from Fidelity. That gives it a strong connection to one of the most familiar brokerage and retirement account ecosystems in the United States. So the question becomes less about which fund owns a different Bitcoin. The Bitcoin exposure is the main driver for both. The difference is the structure around that exposure. Who is the sponsor? Who is the custodian? Where do you already invest? Which trading ecosystem is stronger for your needs? Which platform do you trust more? For many long-term investors, these practical details can matter more than tiny differences in short-term performance. When the asset is the same, the wrapper details start to matter. And one of the most important wrapper details is custody. Custody matters because Bitcoin is different from a normal stock or bond. If you hold Bitcoin directly, you may need to think about private keys, wallets, security, transfers, and self-custody. That gives you more control, but it also creates more personal responsibility. A Bitcoin ETF changes that experience. You do not personally hold the private keys. You do not move Bitcoin on-chain. You do not manage a cold wallet. Instead, the fund structure and institutional custodian handle that side of the process. IBIT uses Coinbase Custody as the Bitcoin custodian. FBTC uses Fidelity Digital Assets. That can be a major convenience, but it is not the same as eliminating risk. You remove private key risk, but you accept fund structure risk and custodian risk. So the ETF solves one problem, but it introduces a different kind of dependency. And after custody, the next practical question is liquidity and trading. Liquidity can matter when comparing Bitcoin ETFs. For a long-term investor who buys occasionally and holds for years, the difference may be less important. The fee matters, the spread still matters, but if you are not trading frequently, small differences in execution may not dominate the whole decision. For active traders, it can be different. Trading volume matters, bid-ask spreads matter, options markets can matter, order size can matter, and execution quality can matter. IBIT tends to receive a lot of market attention, which may make it especially attractive for investors who care about liquidity, trading activity, or the broader trading ecosystem. FBTC may feel more natural for investors who already use Fidelity and want to keep Bitcoin exposure inside that ecosystem. So do not compare only the expense ratio. For long-term investors, cost matters. For traders, liquidity can matter even more. But for true long-term holders, there is an even bigger question. How much Bitcoin exposure should you actually own? For long-term holders, FBTC and IBIT may behave similarly. That is because both are mainly driven by Bitcoin's price. Both have a 0.25% fee, and both are trying to provide simple Bitcoin exposure through a brokerage account. So if you are buying and holding for years, the biggest decision may not be the ticker. It may be the role Bitcoin plays in your portfolio. Before choosing, ask a few practical questions. Which brokerage platform do I use? Which sponsor and custody structure do I trust more? What is the spread when I buy? How often do I plan to trade? How large will this Bitcoin position be? And what is my plan if Bitcoin drops 50% or more? For long-term holders, the bigger decision is not FBTC or IBIT. It is how much Bitcoin exposure you should own. Because even with the right ETF, Bitcoin still has serious risks. The first major risk is volatility. Bitcoin can move a lot. It can rise quickly, but it can also fall sharply. And a Bitcoin ETF does not change that. The ETF may make access easier, it may make the buying process more familiar, it may sit neatly inside a brokerage account, but the underlying asset is still Bitcoin. That means investors are still exposed to large drawdowns, macro sensitivity, liquidity cycles, regulatory headlines, narrative shifts, and market sentiment. This is why a Bitcoin ETF can feel easy to buy and hard to hold. The access is simple, the volatility is not. A Bitcoin ETF makes access easier. It does not make Bitcoin stable. And volatility is not the only risk. Bitcoin also has no traditional cash flow. Bitcoin does not work like a normal business. A stock can have earnings, a company can grow revenue, a REIT can produce NOI and core FFO, a bond can pay interest. Bitcoin does not pay dividends. It does not generate earnings. It does not produce FFO. It does not send you a coupon payment. That does not mean Bitcoin cannot be valuable. The thesis is different. Bitcoin is often based on scarcity, network effects, adoption, liquidity, demand, and its role as an alternative asset. But because there is no cash flow, valuation becomes harder. You cannot analyze Bitcoin the same way you analyze a dividend stock, a REIT, or a bond. Bitcoin can be valuable, but it does not pay you to wait. And that makes position sizing extremely important. The biggest mistake may not be choosing FBTC or IBIT. The biggest mistake may be owning too much Bitcoin. A good ETF cannot fix a bad allocation. For many cautious investors, Bitcoin may only be a small part of the portfolio. For example, some investors may think in terms of 1% to 5% as a conservative starting range. That is not a rule. It is not a recommendation. It is simply a way to understand sizing. The real question is personal. How much volatility can you handle? How long is your time horizon? Would you rebalance after a big rally? Would you panic after a large drawdown? Could this position damage your financial plan? The wrong allocation can make the right ETF feel like a mistake. So after comparing the ETFs, the real portfolio question is risk control. And if this kind of no-hype crypto investing analysis is useful, this is a good place for a quick pause. This is the kind of crypto analysis we focus on at Boring Money Wins. Not hype, not panic, not pretending Bitcoin is risk-free, not pretending ETFs magically solve every problem, and not focusing only on the ticker while ignoring portfolio sizing. The goal is simple investing education with risk control. If this kind of breakdown is useful, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It helps the channel grow and it tells YouTube to show more practical investing content to people who want clear analysis without the noise. Now that we understand the similarities, differences, custody, liquidity, and risks, let's make this practical. Who might prefer IBIT and who might prefer FBTC? IBIT may appeal to investors who prioritize the iShares and BlackRock ecosystem. It may also appeal to investors who care about institutional visibility, market attention, liquidity, trading activity, and possibly the options ecosystem. For a more active investor, those details can matter. If someone is trading larger orders, watching spreads closely, or using more advanced strategies, IBIT may feel like the stronger trading tool. But that does not automatically make it the better portfolio choice for every investor. A trading tool and a long-term portfolio holding are not always the same thing. For long-term investors, the core question is still Bitcoin exposure, position size, holding plan, and risk tolerance. IBIT may be the stronger trading tool, but trading tool does not mean better portfolio choice. Now let's look at the other side. Who might prefer FBTC? FBTC may appeal to investors who already use Fidelity. That can include investors who prefer to keep their accounts, statements, and long-term holdings inside the Fidelity ecosystem. It may also appeal to investors who value the Fidelity digital assets custody structure. For a buy-and-hold investor, FBTC can be a simple way to get Bitcoin exposure without needing a complex trading setup. The logic is straightforward. If you already trust Fidelity, already use Fidelity, and want Bitcoin exposure through a familiar brokerage platform, FBTC may fit naturally. It does not need to be the biggest Bitcoin ETF to be useful. It needs to fit the investor's process. FBTC may appeal to investors who want simple Bitcoin exposure inside the Fidelity ecosystem. But there is also a group of investors who should not focus on choosing between FBTC and IBIT. They should consider avoiding both. Some investors should be careful with both FBTC and IBIT. If you cannot handle big drawdowns, Bitcoin may not fit you. If you need income, Bitcoin does not pay income. If you are investing short-term money, Bitcoin may be too volatile. If you do not understand Bitcoin, buying an ETF does not fix that. If you are buying because of FOMO, that is dangerous. And if you think the ETF removes the risk, that is a mistake. The ETF can make buying easier, but easy access can actually increase behavioral risk. When something becomes simple to buy, investors may buy too much, too quickly, without a clear plan. The easiest ETF to buy can still be the hardest asset to hold. So before choosing FBTC or IBIT, the investor should first decide whether Bitcoin belongs in the portfolio at all. Now we can bring everything together. So which Bitcoin ETF is better for your portfolio? The balanced answer is, it depends on the job. FBTC and IBIT are both useful Bitcoin access tools. Both are designed to provide exposure to Bitcoin. Both have a 0.25% fee. IBIT may be better for investors who prioritize liquidity, market attention, and trading ecosystem. FBTC may be better for investors who prefer Fidelity, Fidelity digital assets, and a simple buy-and-hold experience inside that platform. But for long-term investors, the biggest decision is not just FBTC versus IBIT. It is whether Bitcoin fits your portfolio, how large the position should be, how much volatility you can handle, and whether you have a plan before the drawdown happens. IBIT may be the better trading tool. FBTC may be the cleaner Fidelity ecosystem choice, but the best Bitcoin ETF is the one that fits your position size, risk tolerance, and holding plan. That is the boring answer, and boring money usually wins because boring money usually survives.